Hi guys. It's starting to get cold, and I just put this hat on. But now I've put two small logs in and a cardboard box, so it's going to heat up for about 5 minutes and then go down again. So I'll take this off. Uh, you guys join me. I bought these. What are they called? Whole chestnuts. These are good if you've got histamine intolerance. They're quite supposed to be good. So I'll have one of these, or a few of them. And I got one of these, Stella Artois. That's it's reduced, this one. It's still bloody expensive. £2.44. It was £3.45 or whatever. So I'm going to partake while no one's looking. My uncle used to do something like this. I opened it before with a fork. I didn't have a. Cheers. Use this as a thumbnail. I was going to blow my head off because I don't ever drink. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Oh, it makes you belch, doesn't it? Yeah, so just to show you, let me show you. Look, all my dogs are here. Jerry, sit down. Sit. So there's Jerry. You see Jerry there? He's that one there. Dave is this one here. David, he's a big one. Jerry is where is he? There. He's got very he's a short-skinned one, short-furred one. Then you've got Betty there, the mother. There's she. Betty's lying down there. Then you've got, who's down here? Timmy. Sorry about this. Yeah, there's Timmy. And in the background is Bob. Sally, where's Sally? She's gone into the kitchen. Stay there. Sally. So there you go. There's Sally. Hello, Sally. So stay there. Sit down. So there's Sally. So there's all 6 of them. Down. Get down. Get down. Down. Good girl. So you've got. Be quiet. 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 So you've got. Oh, this is terrible. So you've got 3 of them here. She's just gone back into the kitchen. In the background is Bob, and this one is growling all the time because he hasn't been neutered. You've got Betty. Oh my goodness, sorry, this is terrible. I can't get this right. Yeah, you've got Betty there, and where's the other one? Anyway, all 6 dogs are there. Let me just fix this. This is terrible. Because I've got my camera on a tripod, it's difficult. It's a bit wonky. And it's one of those cheap Chinese ones, so I'm afraid it's going to fall off. So I've got all 6 dogs here with me. But it's quite dark, so you can't really see them properly. Yeah, Timmy keeps growling at them because he hasn't been neutered. And he's been away. I always kind of separate them, but the problem is when you separate them, then they feel that for the first day or first few days, they're not part of the pack. You know, they're seen as like outsiders. But then they get used to each other again. But the males will fight, even though the testosterone has gone down. They've been neutered. Jerry immediately, when I brought these, Dave, Timmy, and Betty back because they were with me, he started marking the place, and he's been neutered, but he still marks the place because he's saying, "This is my territory. This is, I don't know." Well, anyway. So hopefully I can do a better shot, when all of them are with me, sitting down here, and I'm put the camera further away so I can get them all in the shot. But for now, ouch, this is really hot now. So I'll just move this a little bit. Yeah. So today's video, I wanted to talk about something really funny. I was talking to my friend about something. It's an idea. And initially it might sound a bit crazy, right? But I don't see it as crazy. I see it as crazy, but sometimes you have to be crazy, or it's beneficial to be crazy in order to remain sane in this world. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about playing with toys as an adult, as a grown man. You know, I asked my friend, and she kind of had that look, this is ridiculous, you know. And most of us, like grown men and grown women, would react the same. It's a kind, not an upgrade, it's an extension of, when you're younger, and for example, you don't want to go out clubbing, or you wear something that's not cool, and you're ridiculed because it's not cool, or it's not something human beings are expected to act in a certain way. Now, I did watch a program once. I'll get to the point, don't worry. I did watch a program once about some men, like businessmen, like grown men, 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Stop it, Dave. Stop it. Shh. And they would go to this place where they would be pampered, like babies. They would have nappies on. Jerry, sit down. Down. So they'd be pampered, They'd be allowed to crawl on the floor. They'd be allowed to play in a pen. And they'd have, like, a nappy on. Like, so a lot of people will think, yeah, it's a sexual thing. You get some young nurse, or a woman dressed in a nurse's costume or doctor's costume. And, they change their nappy, and they might poo themselves and be cleaned and stuff like that. I don't know if that went on, but the kind of the program was either Panorama or some program like that, and it made it seem as though it was really fishy, really something strange or sexual. But I totally understand those men. I mean, who wouldn't like to be pampered by a young nurse or a young doctor? But not in the sexual way. For some people, yes, they would like to get off on anything. It's just an excuse. But there's something deeper. To get in contact, what I'm trying to say is get in contact with your inner child, or your child. And we all have part of us that is still a child. Maybe it's just me, but I think that to kind of respect and honor and listen to that inner child is really important. So when I was speaking to my friend, I was saying, do you think it's strange, like a grown-up man playing with toys, like designating a corner of a room and playing with Hot Wheels, or even with a doll's house, or Action Man, or Plasticine, maybe like half an hour a day for a few days a week, so you get in contact with your child. The child within is satisfied, and maybe, just maybe, your life can be better because part of you is actually finally satisfied. Maybe there's a part of us that will never grow up. You see, that child will never grow up. And that child feels neglected and feels, of course, some people say, well, you have to be an adult to that child. Well, you can be an adult and you can be a child as well. You are being an adult to that child because you're giving that child space to play, to be a child, to play with toys. And so I thought, I wonder what is it like to play with toys, with a car and soldiers, uh, and something like that. Would you get in contact with that side of you that you've left behind a long, long time ago? And it just feels like exciting, but of course weird, like playing with toys on the floor, like when you were a kid, you know. And so my friend, she didn't understand it, because I haven't opened up to anybody. But I assume that a lot of people will think, cuckoo, 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 this person's nuts. Yes, that is the whole point. Because I think I read once, and it does make sense to me. Once a day or a few times a day, you have to go out of your mind in order to remain sane in this world. Obviously, the person, well, not obviously, but I know the person was talking about meditation. Now, when you meditate, you try and cut yourself off from free from thought, and you become the observer of thought. You're the watcher. You're the you look at a part of your mind looks at this monkey mind, this mind that is always thinking, oh, I'm gonna have a bath later on, oh, look at the mess, I can't afford this, money problems, oh, that woman looked at me in a terrible way, now that man, I can't stand him. You're gonna have all these thoughts, and we're constantly thinking, constantly trying to problem solve, constantly worrying, constantly, and to sit down and still this mind is almost impossible, because when you try to meditate, you're going to start to think of things and you can't stop it. You might be able to stop it for a few seconds and then another thought will come up, and then you gently bring your mind back to whatever the meditation is, and then another thought will come back, and you gently, this is the practice, plucking yourself free from thought constantly. So you're practicing to do something that's impossible, but that task or that training becomes more possible the more you do it. Now, playing with toys is a kind of meditation as well, but it also brings you back to your childhood. It does two things. One, you meditate, you calm yourself down and you focus on one thing. You can do that with anything, but also it brings you back to your childhood, and your child, if we do have this inner child, is satisfied. And that can give us a happiness that maybe we never felt, or not of happiness we've never felt, but it can make you happy. It can fulfill you. It can fill a gap. Like we try to do so many things and it doesn't bring us happiness. Maybe your inner child has to, its wishes have to be fulfilled. Its only wish is to play, to be loved by you, the parent. You can become your child's parent yourself, and to be accepted, or whatever it is. I don't know much about this, but just the idea of playing, playing with toys, that could be an interesting kind of therapy. I know it's weird, a grown man, like in his 50s, nearly 60, would set aside time to play with toys. That's nuts, but it's because it's nuts. It's for me, it's the way to remain sane. It is like meditation, but also it's fulfilling, possibly, potentially, a need for this child in here to express himself, and play with toys that I never could play when I was a child. When I was a child, we didn't have all these fancy toys. You know, we had plasticine. What did we have? We had Action Man. I never played with, like Stretch Armstrong and those toys that you can stretch and then they go back. I never had Hot Wheels, or Hot Wheels sets. I had TCR, which is a bit like Scalextric. I didn't have many toys. Not that I remember. I had, as I said before, I had this castle. I used to play with this castle. That was so cool. It had the drawbridge. That was a cool game. Sorry, a cool toy, plastic toy, but it was so cool. All these knights and horses. I just love that toy. And so that's the video today. That's the subject. I'm going to try doing that. And maybe I can, I don't know, one day just have an au pair come and look after me. I'll be in my nappy and a dummy as well, and crawling around on the floor and her changing my no. no no, just joking, but that would be funny. But imagine if you can do that, right? If you can, because this what I'm talking about, ASMR plays into that part of your brain that role, because some of these ASMR videos, they do that role play. They someone's a barber and he's giving you a shave, or there's a woman that maybe she might be doing your hair, and it affects some part of your brain that feels pampered and you get mesmerized, and that's the same feeling you had maybe as a child when you were playing doctors and nurses with one of your cousins, a female cousin, and she's checking your heart, how's your hair, what's your temperature, and you're like this, you're all mesmerized as a child, that vacant look, you're kind of hypnotized, aren't you? And that's what this ASMR is, when you see these people, usually women, but you get some men where they whisper, they talk like this, you've had a very hard day today, you should relax, or something like that. And it's quite relaxing for lots of people. So anyway, going back to, playing with toys, do you guys play with toys? I mean, for sure, most of you won't. There might be some nutter that might still play with his, at 60 years of age or 40 years of age, still plays with his Scalextric set. But it's funny, isn't it? Because some games or some pastimes are acceptable. Like you can be a 60-year-old, a 50-year-old gamer, but that's acceptable. What's the difference between gaming and playing with a Hot Wheels toy? It's just the way society sees it. Society says, "Oh no, if you play with Scalextric, or if you play with Play-Doh, you have to be an 8-year-old, right? Or if you play with Hot Wheels toys, 8 to 10 years of age maximum." But gaming, what is that? It's just playing a game on your computer. Obviously, some have more adult themes, like blowing someone's head off and stuff like that. But at least with toys, you have to use your imagination. The car has to move around. It has to do something. You apply your own special effects. But with a game, you're destroying your eyes. You're destroying your health. If the radiation or whatever affects your body, and it's very addictive. So anyway, yeah, I shall be playing those games, maybe making videos out of them. I'll see. That'll be bloody weird. grown-up man 60 plays with toys. That'll be funny. But anyway, it's just a crazy thought, but maybe not so crazy because you're tapping in. You'd be tapping into, as I said, your inner child. What's wrong with playing with toys? You know, you got men dressing up as women, and society says there's nothing wrong with that. If a man has a pink handbag, he sees himself. No, not sees himself. He what's that word? He describes himself. Anyway, he thinks he's a woman. He can dress up as a woman. No problem. He can chop up some parts. No problem. So if that's okay, it should be okay for a grown man to play with toys. But you see, society would say, well, if a man wants to be a woman, it's okay, no problem. You can't laugh about that, no way. But if a man says he wants to play with toys, like something that he did as a child, he wants to connect to his childhood, he wants to watch cartoons, he wants to play with Play-Doh, what's wrong with that? You might say, what's right with it? But you would accept a man dressed in a miniskirt with all hairy legs and a big beard, and like you have to shut up, you can't say anything, you know. You have to, oh yes, that's, you know, very good person, you know. He's expressing himself. I don't know. I think it's a good idea. I really think it's a good idea. And I think I'll be doing that, and I'll just let you guys know what happens, you know. If by making your inner child happy, does it affect other parts of your character, you know? Coming off meditation, coming off medication, maybe will be easier if I can make that part of me happy, finally being actually listened to, and actually that child being able to express himself, you know. Maybe it's a good thing, I don't know, but I like to experiment, you know. And think about it, you know, we reach 40, 50, 60, and that's it. Our childhood is over. It's just a thing of the past. Why does it have to be a thing of the past? Oh, because you're an adult. So what? You're an adult, but as I said, there is this inner child. And maybe we're not complete until that inner child expresses himself. I don't know. I have to try. And I'll be letting you guys know exactly what happens. So do you guys secretly play with toys? Now, I'm not talking about not those toys, but, you know, like Lego, and don't be embarrassed to say it, because just if you're playing with toys already, you're ahead of me, because I want to try playing with toys, because I've got so many toys, you know, from the toy business I had, and I have to try, you know, to do something with these toys. And maybe I can make videos. For sure, I'll be ridiculed, but I wouldn't be Nutty Gerald if I didn't do things like this. You guys are going to laugh at me, but I'd rather be ridiculed than you guys. And if it works for me, then you guys can try it on your own at home. Imagine if I've been trying to come off medication for 33 years, okay? And now I'm trying again. This taper, you know, is difficult again. Once you get to a certain point, your whole body starts to tense up, and you don't realize it until you have massive headaches, palpitations, blood pressure goes up. But imagine, let's say I experiment and I do this amongst other things that I'm doing. Imagine if it works. You know how powerful that is, how powerful that can be for me and for you guys in your life. So you can set a corner maybe someplace, if you're a lady, and have a dollhouse and just play. And then you can come up with ideas new ideas. You don't even have to just do it for the sake of playing, for the sake of. And if somebody catches you, fine. Don't be afraid. You're just playing with toys. Just say, just be honest. Say, I'm playing. I feel like playing with toys. I mean, most of you guys wouldn't do that, but people think I'm crazy anyway. So I'm not losing anything. I don't have relatives, mum and dad, or anyone to say you're going nuts. Because most of the people that know me know I'm nuts as it is, but in a nice way. But this is just another level. Don't worry, there's a few more levels that I'm going to get to, or I may get to. So anyway, what do you guys think about that? I'm not making this video because I've got no content. Like, this is an idea I've had for a long time. You know. And I think, yeah, I'm definitely going to do it. And I'm going to see what happens to my brain. Jesus said, you have to become like children. So I'm going to take his word and become like a child. He didn't mean that. Why do you know what he meant? Anyway, I'll see you guys in another video. I don't know what the lighting's like here. But I'm going to finish this and speak to you guys another day. Or maybe I'll just have it tomorrow. I don't know. Bye. Take care. Good night, good morning, wherever you are, whatever time of the day this catches you. And I'll speak to you in another video. Bye.